This is Morning Crossfire on 95.1 Nigeria Info.
Good morning and welcome back. It's 6 minutes past the hour of 8. Every Friday, we actually do some opening up. BUDESHI is the program, and you know how we do it. We talk about all those issues that empower the citizen to ask the right questions. Now, what more do you need to ask the right questions than information? How best would you engage your leaders without access to the right kind of information? People may ask questions, but are they asking the right questions? That's what we, center around when we discuss on BUDESHI. BUDESHI is supported by, it is powered by PPDC, and we've got a team from there here today. But we're going to be discussing particularly with Ifeoma Onyebuchi. Ifeoma is the program director at PPDC. Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, welcome.
Thank you very much.
All right. And we also have Agunloye Tolulope, project manager budget, here with us this morning.
Good morning.
Thank you very much for being here.
Thank you.
All right. So this issue of carrying data, procurement data to rural communities is what we're going to be centering our discussion around today. And what comes to my mind, just thinking about all that data, all that information, is whether it is even appealing to, the people in the rural settings. People are basically looking for subsistence, doing the simple things of life, having their quiet, countryside lives. And then you gather us to tell us that there was this procurement process, there was this minister, there was this, doesn't this put them off? How do you do this? What's the importance of this? Let's start from there.
Yeah, so let me go first.
Oh, okay.
Then ladies first. Okay, now let's start with how powerful data is, because data is so important. Just like this telecommunications advert, they say data is life. So it means that without data, it will be hard for us to even draw probably a reasonable conclusion in terms of some relevant information. Now, when it comes to the importance of carrying out all these township engagements, now bringing out information to the people, it shows that you're trying to empower the people. Now, because I said information is power, so it means that you're also giving them a voice. Besides giving them a voice, you're also giving them the avenue to be heard. Now, we know that government seems to assume that certain projects are good for certain communities where the needs assessments are not being done. So we try to say, okay, why not just do a township engagement? Gather these people together, get their needs, so they'll be able to capture it. And they will know right from the onset that these needs have been captured in the budget. Because we say if any development should happen, it has to be captured in the budget.
True.
No politician would, quote and unquote, use his own personal money to fund any project.
No.
So it means that it is the taxpayers' money that will be used to develop the community, carry them along, let them know that this project has been captured so that they can follow up this project. They can own it. Now, people have attitude of this project belongs to the government, so they tend to use it anyhow.
Yeah.
But then the moment you tell them that this project is yours, you tend to manage it very well. If I own a car, I'll make sure the car is in good condition, right? True. So if I say, it's a public transport, then the next thing I can eat, dump whatever things I feel like in the car, then I move on again. But then the moment they see it as their own project, e.g., maybe a community borehole, and the next thing is, maybe there's a solar system on ground, but then people say, okay, why solar? Maybe I need solar in my house. They go there, take the solar out, maybe put it somewhere else, and say, it's been a long time that we want them to come and put the generator in there. And we've seen cases whereby all these balls are even sited probably in the chief's palace house or something. So people need to own Own the budget, yeah. Own the budget, because once you follow the budget, you own the project. So, yeah.
Ifeoma,
information is
you have an angle to this.
Just a little addition, but also taking off from where he stopped. Data for us is key in everything we do because it puts citizens at the center of governance. And just like Tolu mentioned, over time we assume, even we as civil societies and government, we assume that we know what people want, what citizens want. And because of that, we can even go to the extent of putting things we think they want in the budget without getting their own input.
Yes, their input.
And even how it's priority to them. Because if it's not priority to them, perhaps that's why they don't even have that sense of ownership to treat it the way they want, because it's not even, obviously, it's not what they want. So that's also why the need of engagement and needs assessment, for example, from the government is very important, because you go down to them and then you understand what they want, but also how they want it and where they want it. So you avoid that resource wastage. But even where we come as CSOs is because we are usually closer to the people, so we go to them, we engage with them all the time. So working in collaboration with the government will also help us to assess this data that they publish. For example, you have different ministries putting up civic tech tools. So we help them to mine the data that they have there, just like Budget does and PPDC also does. Break this information down in a way that categories of people, because we have different people with different capabilities, and tech knowledge. So break this information in a way that is relatable to them. They understand it, and then they will be able to use it to achieve what we want. Because I feel like their participation is also important. Because look at how many ministries, look at the number of ministries we have in Nigeria. If we as CSOs and governments are monitoring the implementation of this project, I don't think we'll achieve what we want. So you create a watchdog system for the people by giving them power, by giving them what they want, but also creating an enabling environment, which is also part of this, that will enable them to feel some sense of ownership, be able to monitor the way they would, and then give feedback to the government. So all those feedback, because it's also important, because you're getting this feedback from the beneficiaries and the users of those infrastructures. In that way, it helps you to do better policy formulations, better decisions, so you don't just be wasting your resources.
Oh, wow. Okay, so let's talk about the acceptability of this by the targets. How receptive have the community members been to some of these town hall meetings, to this symposia and all of that? Ifeoma, we may want to continue with that.
Okay, yeah.
How receptive have they been?
I would say to a very large extent, because I like it that even we in this whole civil society space, I think it started with redefining corruption.
Okay.
So what will make me to be receptive? It's only when I see that something is really affecting my well-being. So we started redefining corruption and started aligning with some of the social ills that are happening in the society.
Because I would have thought, for the first few times when you gathered them and everything, because they are used to handouts and all of that before elections and all of that, that would be the mindset with which they'll come, coming to get some tangible things rather than intangible information.
Exactly. So that's it, because over time, it looks like we are talking on the abstract. Then when you try to gather people, they seem to be very disinterested. You deal with a whole sort of apathy from the people, because I think it's because it doesn't, what you're talking about they don't see it as their thing. Yeah, it doesn't affect them. So the road isn't my own, like Tolu said, is government property. It doesn't affect me. If I have a car that I can drive, if I can feed my family, I don't really need to go there. But we started drawing the links between their well-being and government infrastructures. If you don't care about them, they will fall off. They will damage. And then that money is wasted. You don't get the adequate health care that you deserve because you don't care about these things. So when we started making that connection, they started seeing the beauty of being part of government processes. And of course, they started showing interest. But another thing for us is, because it's all a learning curve for us, right? So we started looking at what do they even want? How do we amplify their voices? Because nobody would want to be saying the same thing over and over again without seeing the impact, So we started amplifying their voices, taking their feedback to the government, and once they start seeing that feedback, And in terms of tangible outcome and reactions from the government, they keep talking because they know that, their feedback is being taken into account and is really working. And we have, a whole lot of examples on that.
Definitely, we'll get to those examples. But let's ask Tolu. Tolu, what are the follow-up mechanisms you have in place to ensure that the community members do not lose interest in, sourcing information on projects after the engagement is over?
Now, after the engagement, all you need to do is just to say, okay, we've empowered you with information. Then you also need to make your voice heard. Now, we encourage these people to write FOI requests.
Okay.
Now, because it is freedom of information. I still say it. One of the best things that the administration of Goodluck Jonathan gave us was the FOI. Now, because with this, we can use it to demand or ask questions, reasonable questions, quote and unquote. Now, we tell them, write a FOI request so that you can demand, for example, if I go to, because we have a platform called Tracker, where we go to communities, engage them, especially for communities where projects have not been implemented. So we say, you need to do a FOI request. Then you use the community head letter so that they will know that it is coming from you, not from budget. Because most people will say, oh, these guys have been sponsored by an opposition. So we say, okay, the community themselves should write the letter. We will help them with the submissions since we are closer to the people. So after writing these letters, we get reasonable responses from the legislators because Tracker is mainly focused on constituency projects. Now, with the feedback that we get, we ensure that these projects are implemented. Now, once people see results, they tend to like it. Now, you've engaged us, you've empowered us, we have written FOI, yet then we are also seeing the results of the letters that we were saying. So that really encourages, how am I going to put it now, this engagement with the people. Also for us at Budget and PPDC also, it's really encourages us to move to different communities doing the same process, empowering people in order to make sure development is in all communities, especially where projects have been captured.
So in a nutshell, even after engagement, you empower them to take the next step, which is actually demand and, ask certain things. So that means communities have started creating letter-headed papers. For
community. Yeah, I know almost all the communities have letter-headed papers. They do have, yes. All the communities have letter-headed papers.
Okay, that's good to know. All right, so have you recorded any impact stories to your engagement where community members took action to try to get information
A
themselves?
lot of examples.
Okay, so that's where we are now. Give us
a lot of
some examples.
So I mentioned Tracker. So Tracker started in 2014. Now, one of the first engagement we started with was a town called Iwoye-Olugbo. In Ogun State. Now, the project was a school project, and I think it was around maybe 30 million naira. And the people didn't know that the community has been captured in the budget. So after engaging them, we encouraged them to write the letter. Now, even after leaving the meeting, like I think 5 minutes after we left, we received a call. Now, we've got to know that people, the people that we even encourage or engage also belongs to the political parties. One way or the other, they are political party members. So we received the call from the senator's aide, and he was saying that why are we trying to winch hunt him, blah, blah, blah. Lo and behold, after the whole engagement, after explaining the reason why we're here, 2 weeks after, they started bringing gravel, stone, sand, everything. And within 6 months, the project was implemented. Now, that was the first engagement we had, and which was a success. So immediately, we had to go to 5 states. So now we're in 23 states. Maybe in 2 months' time, we're going to be in 36. So we keep expanding. So all this relies with funding. So there have been lots of success stories. But then I'll go back to the challenges later because there are also challenges in life.
Of course,
give
definitely.
Ifeoma the room to also
Ifeoma,
give examples.
give us a few examples. You said there were many, right?
Yes, and I also don't think it's different from what Tolu has also talked about, the beauty of empowering people, because remember, some of us CSOs are donor dependent. How do we think about the sustainability of this, So how do we empower people so that this whole initiative lives beyond just the funding we are getting for it. And that's where the empowerment is key. And also how they reach out to get further information. So even when we don't provide this information, they make extra efforts to go look out for this information. But again, it calls for us to make sure that we put in place mechanisms, break this information down, provide them with the tools, whatever toolkit they need to make this continue running for them. And for us in PPDC, we have a BUDESHI toll-free line. Because we reach out to them, but sometimes they need to also get back to us to talk about the challenges they're having, and then have directions on what's the best approach to take to get what they want. And the toll-free is always open for them to call us in for information sharing. And we also do what we have. We mine the data that we have available that the government has published. We put it up there on our BUDESHI website. So our BUDESHI is a civic tech tool where we publish all contractual information across stages in the procurement cycle. And that's the crux of the matter, because that's the information that people usually look out for. So we make sure that we put it out there for them to use. But also break down, because again, there are categories of citizens. So how do we also reach out to maybe the digitally excluded communities? So that's where we have to do extra work, right? So we break down this information using infographics, and I also know budget does a whole lot of things around that. But also go down to them. And last year we started doing something around translating this information in their own local language in a way they hear it, and also get train people within their communities on these sort of initiatives, and how to mine data, how to use it, and how to do the monitoring, and also get them on radio to talk to their own people in their own language. So we make a whole lot of efforts to make sure that this lives beyond the initial thing we've done within their communities. So make all these efforts, but also help them to not just taking this information from them to their rep, but also empowering them, like Tolu said also, to write the letter, because there's nothing as beautiful as these things coming from the community themselves to say, we know you, we voted you into power, and we are asking you. And we have a case study last year, that's the newest one, in Lanley in Niger State. So we went to them for the first time around November or so. One of my colleagues, Kachi, was the one that handled that whole project, and he reached out to them with his team to say, look at our findings, we use that data, and look at the sums that the data is telling us. These are the things you're supposed to have here. And the people came out to say, because they also saw their own people who we trained telling them that this is not from the CSOs, but what we ourselves found out from this community. And they said, look, we can't continue going this way. We have to write a letter. And even though they don't have a letter-headed paper, I don't think they've gotten up to that point, but they had to reach out to their village district to say, we want you to use this same letter-headed paper you're using to write to people, to write and say that this is coming from this community, and we are calling for you as our representative to come to our aid and do this, because already we have this information saying that this is what we want. And I think that's empowerment in the highest level for this to be coming. So you can imagine the kind of response that will come from the rep to say, oh, I've never seen this kind of thing before. These people are really empowered. They know what they want. And that's what we want to start doing.
Achieve.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, so I'm looking on Tracker, and I find, I clicked on, what's that, federal government data, and then I find a constituency-based project, right? And it's a supply of, of materials. It's called Supply of Empowerment Materials. Purchase of vehicle. Ikeja in Lagos West Central District, Lagos, 33 million naira. Supply of empowerment material. One vehicle, 33 million. How does that empower the community?
Now, I like that question. You know why? Because I feel one of the things we try to do with the budget is also to bring out the frivolous item or suspicious item. So, and that's an example. Now we try to, now the 2019 proposed budget is out, and the frivolous item that we've mined is also online. If you go online, you can also get it. Now, is to bring out all those suspicious items, then submit it to the National Assembly and say, sir, these are the list in all the agencies that say, okay, you know you are going to scrutinize the budget before you pass it into law. Why not just use this? And I know CSJ is also doing this also. So if all the CSOs bring all these frivolous items together, in order for them to help the National Assembly, because it makes their job faster, they are meant to do an oversight function on this. then we notice that some of these frivolous items reoccur again when the budget is approved. So we won't stop there. We'll also continue to engage them. But then, such an amount for a vehicle is quite ridiculous, truly. But then,
I fail to see where the empowerment comes in.
yeah. So, at the end of the day, the legislator will say, "This money don't come to us." They say, they go directly to the agencies. But we know how these things are. But then we're not just here to talk about that, anyways.
All right. Okay. Let's talk about some of the challenges you have experienced.
The challenges
yes.
are okay. Now let's start with you walk into a community. I think your first point of contact should be the village head or the chief. Now you tell him where you work, what you want to do. Now the first thing they will say is, "We sponsoring you." So they see you as an opposition. Like I said, almost all the village heads, all the chiefs belong to a political party. So once they see, oh, you're coming from a different angle, or the person ruling at that time belongs to their party, and you are not telling them, oh, this project has been captured in the budget, it has not been done, blah blah blah. They see you as an opposition, they keep asking questions. That's one. Secondly, using the Moses Motoni case that traded last year. Now, Moses Motoni is one of our tracking officers in Niger. And after engaging the people, I think 2 hours later, the senator, I won't mention his name anyways, so called for his arrest. He was arrested, dragged from Niger to SARS, Gusape in Abuja here. And because the issue traded, lots of, what's it called, media houses pick up the story, it's traded on Twitter, and because he slept in the cell overnight, so the next day he was released.
Okay.
Now, what does this mean is it comes with a job, because they see you as somebody that is here to witch hunt them. Now, the one that happened recently, which was, what was the public hearing? The public hearing was wasn't it 2 days ago? Yeah, 2 days ago. We were at the public hearing. So we had our publications. Now, my colleague who was with the tracker department had a letter from the community wanted to submit to Senator Honorable Patterson in Edo State. Now, submitting the letter, the secretary rejected the letter, said, "No, we're not going to collect this letter, blah, blah." He said the letter is forged. And the next thing he called, he called the police officers at the National Assembly. So they took him to the crime unit at the National Assembly, where he stayed there for like 3 hours before he was released. You know, it comes with a job, like I said.
He just brought a letter.
Yeah, because he brought a letter from the community. He just said, "This is a forged letter, blah, blah, blah." That, no. Why is it a forged letter? Have you tried reaching out to this community? Normally, without a letter, if I can easily walk up to your office and say, "Sir, what is the status of this project?" We don't say, "Oh, this man has embezzled the money." No, we don't say, "Oh, the money has been released." We say, "Oh, sir, can you
What
provide
is the status? What's happening? Has it started? Is it, when is it going to start? If it has?
You should ask, because this is taxpayers' money.
Well, I know we want to bring in a lot of people to, if you're listening, you want to call in and all of that. It's a good time to call, because we're almost done here. 0946 00 951 or 08095 974869. Ifeoma, I'm sure you have a few other challenges you want to talk about, but let's talk about what can be done to mitigate these challenges. Maybe you want to take that end.
Yes, a lot has to be done to mitigate the challenges, especially the issue of distrust. I think that's also what I picked from to news. Distrust, and obviously people tend to have these huge expectations whenever they see civil societies, and I can tell you that's what we over time see whenever we go to talk to them. The first thing they start seeing, I don't know if they see this dollar sign, you're coming to share money with them, and then by the time you don't get to share the money, they tend not to be listening to you. So there's a whole lot of education and sensitization to do. And I also think that the government can also help us in this regard. I mean, NOA has network across the country. We need to start reorientating the people. We need to have that cultural change, because probably that's also the issue we're having with our political elite. The cost of electioneering is very very huge. So people make them to go through this process, spend money. If you don't spend money, if you don't buy all these items and give them money, they take you to be a talkative. So when you go into power, you will try to recuperate your profits and the money you spend. And we are seeing it also happening in our own engagement with these people. So we need to, if you really want a change, we have to change our status quo. We have to change our mode of engagement with whenever things that has to do with governance and our development comes to play.
All right.
So.
All right. I'll hold you at that point so that we can take this call. Hello. Good morning. Please turn down the volume of your radio.
Yes, good morning, sir.
Welcome, Wale.
Yes. Good morning, madam. In the studio.
Good morning.
Yes, ma'am. You see, the Nigerian news for the media and this, the organization are facing in the grassroots. But the problem is not life for you people to see only the urban in the grassroots. You're supposed to go more, not than seeing the urban. There are palaces, there are communities, and when you get to the palace and the urban, what you people supposed to be doing, to ask them is their security, and you see their roads. Tell them the assistance you are here for, and make an impact. You can't go there once. You said they intimidate you. You are not going there again. Or their system, they ask you money. Because they ask you money, that doesn't mean you should not go after even 2 months. You go back there. These people will know you are for them, truly. Don't be afraid. We are all Nigerians. If you want to help, you assign everything. God didn't even have, it didn't.
All right. You done?
No. Go more to them, please.
Okay.
And go more than the other.
All right.
The palace. Ask for their security. Ask for their the road. What is their problem?
All right.
After some time, go back again.
I'll follow up. Okay. Thank you so much. I'm so sorry I had to cut you off because of time. Who wants to respond to that?
Yes, I think thank you very much, sir, for that intervention. He's absolutely right. So, but there's also the need that when you get into a community, you need to reach out to whomever that is in charge of that community, because you can't just go into someone's community without reaching
authority
out to
backing you up.
Exactly. So, but also there's also need to reach out, because like Tolu also mentioned, some of them are partisan, and they've been your first point of contact. Could even just, they can give you a feel that everything is all right, and then you just go back. But what we also try to do in our work is to see them, yes, but also look at other groups, social groups that are existing within that community. Who are the youth? Who are the women leaders? And we did a whole lot of things around with these people in Niger State and Enugu State. That was two of our priority states. So we reached out to this, but also going beyond that to reach out to the traditional rulers. But that you're also reaching out to these people doesn't mean that they understand the message and they want to align with you. So we also look out for neutral people who have, good intentions for their communities. Who are they? And then let them understand also that we are fighting the same battle, so to say, but also work with them. But again, the issue of consistent follow-up is also very necessary. So we don't just do a one-off thing. We also make sure we go back to the community and know the impact they've made within their own, communities and how we could also support them.
At the end of the day, we have a common enemy. The CSO, the community, the media, we have a common enemy. It's underdevelopment. It is, that lack of empowerment of the citizen. So we're all in the same fight. Rather than picking sides, we're supposed to be, handling the issues. I'd like to say a big thank you to both of you, my guests this morning. It's always such an interesting time talking with you guys. You guys make the work on the field look attractive. Some of us who are here in the studios want to go out there and see what's happening. And if we have the opportunity, we'll be happy to. Ifeoma Onyebuchi, Program Director, PPDC, thank you very much.
Thank you, Fortune.
And also we have Tolulope Agunloye. Yes, Tolulope Agunloye. Project Manager, Budget. Thank you very, very much.
Thank you.
All right, there you have it. We say a big thank you to PPDC for BUDESHI today. So go and check those platforms. The BUDESHI platform, where you can actually check projects, tracker by budgets, check it, see those kinds of things I spoke about, where you see an empowerment project with one vehicle at 3 million naira. I'll be right back. I have a live appearance. Commercial guest joining us soon. Don't go away.